Hello, my name's Allison Gilbert, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the socio-economic impacts of climate change. We'll be looking at both the global impacts as well as specific impacts on the state of Maine. First, let's start with some background information. What exactly is climate change? Climate change is defined as a long-term change in climate patterns happening at a local, regional, or global level. It's important to note that long term can mean years, decades, centuries, or more. Climate change specifically focuses on temperature changes occurring from an increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide. This increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide is mostly attributed to human activities. These activities can include the burning of fossil fuels. There are many impacts of climate change. Some of the impacts on the environment are precipitation increases, precipitation pattern changes, temperatures rising, and the increase of extreme weather events. When we look at Maine, the climate has been changing, and that is causing many impacts. Precipitation is increasing, and we've seen a significant amount of rain and snowfall increase since 1895. The increase of precipitation has led to erosion, land movement, and land loss. And as temperatures rise, sea levels are also rising and causing harmful algae blooms. Let's take a minute to look more specifically at the increased precipitation. Since 1895, Maine has seen a 6-inch annual increase in rain and snowfall. It is predicted that Maine will see a 1 to 2 foot rise in sea level by 2050. An increased precipitation will cause more regular flooding and cause contamination of groundwater aquifers by the seawater. However, Maine is not the only place that's being impacted by climate change. We're seeing impacts around the world, including temperatures rising, increased precipitation, an increase in extreme weather events, more droughts and heat waves, and an increase in extinctions. Let's focus on extreme weather. Some examples of extreme weather events are heat waves, droughts, severe storms, wildfires, tornadoes, flooding, and more. Climate change has caused severe weather events to become more common. They are becoming especially prevalent in places like Japan, Germany, and the Philippines, all of which saw thousands of deaths due to climate-related extreme weather events within the last few years. If we look at Japan specifically, Japan has seen an increase in heavy rain, earthquakes, and heat waves. 1,282 people died in 2018 alone from climate-related deaths, specifically from heat waves. Immature rice grain has been caused by changes in weather patterns and droughts, along with increased rainfall at certain times of the year, limiting their yield. And Japan's natural ecosystems are being destroyed by changes in climate, impacting their fishing industry. So how will climate change impact the economy and not just the ecosystems? Some economic impacts of climate change include industry, food, health, and production. It's impacting jobs and development. Migrations and extreme weather impact food production. Health risks are increasing with climate change. And raw materials are becoming more expensive. When we look at Maine, there are two main economic impacts that climate change is having. The first is on tourism. Maine's economy relies on tourism revolving around outdoor recreation. This includes beaches, skiing, snowboarding, hiking, and more that are all essential to pulling in those visitors. As temperatures rise, these activities become vulnerable and many disappear. In addition, the seafood industry is a huge part of Maine's economy. Fishing and lobstering are a huge industry in Maine and employ roughly 30,000 people from the state. Climate change is causing many organisms to migrate, impacting the local fishermen that rely on those populations. Globally, economics are also impacted by climate change. Health risks, production, and trade are all impacted, and we're going to look more closely at two of these. First, let's take a look at production challenges. As temperatures increase, agricultural production levels will begin to drop in many countries. Locations such as China, India, and Japan that rely on rice production are already seeing decreases in yield due to climate change. In addition to temperatures, rainfall patterns are also changing. Increased rain or droughts can both impact the ability for countries to maintain their yields. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes and typhoons have been decreasing yields in the past years. Many countries rely on their crops, both for their own people as well as trade to other countries, and as production levels decrease, so does that trade. Speaking of trade, let's look at how that can globally impact the economy. Increased temperatures means a shorter shelf life, so as these products are being shipped, they lose that ability to travel further distances. Climate change is impacting ocean and wind patterns, causing challenges to shipping paths that are known and used. As the climate changes and impacts production, costs of items are increasing, and production may need to relocate to new areas, causing shifts in supply and demand. Overall, these impacts from climate change are not just affecting your home and your state, such as the people in Maine, but are impacting global countries. Here are my references. Thank you so much for listening.